If you're looking into moving to Wilmington, North Carolina, this is your ultimate guide. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? I'm Avery with the Living in Jacksonville team, and if you're interested in everything eat, sleep, live, work, play, Eastern North Carolina, this is the channel for you. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every single time we upload a new video. And guys, as much as we love making these videos for you guys, we'd love even more to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to make a move in 9 days or 90 days, reach out to that phone number and email address on your screen. I am the one that responds to all the calls, texts, and emails. Would love to have a conversation with you and help you make a smooth move. But without further ado, guys, this is your ultimate video, ultimate guide to relocating to Wilmington, North Carolina. We're going to go over the map. We're going to be going over school districts, hospitals, cost of living, all of it, all in this video. Let's go. All right, so jumping right into it, the first thing that we're going to go over is the location, geographical location of Wilmington, North Carolina. So pulling up the map, you'll see Wilmington outlined. That's actually New Hanover County that's outlined, right? And New Hanover County is generally regarded as Wilmington or vice versa. But Castle Hayne being on the northernmost part of Wilmington, and the Cape Fear River really lines the westernmost part of Wilmington, and then followed by the Atlantic Ocean, which is on the southeastern part of Wilmington. So the three major beaches in the Wilmington area are Curie Beach, Carolina Beach, and Wrightsville Beach, and they're all are spectacular beaches. Wrightsville Beach and Carolina Beach are a little bit more party beaches. Curie Beach is a little bit more family friendly, a little bit of a slower pace than the other two, but still very, very awesome beaches. Wilmington is broken up into a number of different sectors. I'm not going to go over every single sector, right? But, you know, some of the main ones are the historical downtown area, right? Which is where the Riverwalk is. That's where Battleship North Carolina is, which is a very cool place to visit. And then you have the Wilmington International Airport, which is a little bit northeast, I guess, of downtown, historic downtown. And then you have like the Wrightsville area, Myrtle Grove area, which is a little bit southeastern, and Masonboro Island, and the Intercoastal, which separates the mainland from the island. And then you have Bayshore and Porter's Neck, Kirkland area, which is the southeasternmost part of Wilmington. All different areas of Wilmington have their own little flair. So wherever you're looking to move to, you can't really go wrong. All right, so moving on to the school districts in New Hanover County or the Wilmington area, it's kind of complex. We're looking at 8 different high schools in New Hanover County School District. We're also looking at 8 different middle schools in New Hanover County School District, and we're looking at 27 elementary schools in New Hanover County. Now, with that said, the difference in a lot of the school districts are just where you live, right? So wherever your neighborhood is located in throughout Wilmington determines the school district that you're going to go to. Now, there are exceptions to this, but we're not going to go into the weeds of all of that. You can talk to the county administrator to kind of figure out your school situation. But generally speaking, you know, when we start looking at houses and we start looking at neighborhoods, we can go over some of those school districts and really start piecing together what are the best school districts and what are, you know, the not so good school districts. I am not necessarily allowed to say. What I am allowed to tell you is that the overall New Hanover County School District ranking, according to niche.com, is an A-. You know, there's some schools that fall into the C+, C- range, but still pretty good school districts. And some people complain about some schools more than others, and some people like some schools better than others. but that's for you to decide based on what fits you and your family's needs. And then there are a number of private schools as well in New Hanover County, and they are all regarded as very, very good schools. So you can definitely do your research on some of those private schools as well. And then the homeschooling here in North Carolina as a whole is very good as well. You will affiliate with a school district, but you do get to kind of go through the curriculum at your own pace and do the homeschooling thing as well. You know, that is one thing that my wife and I are starting to look a lot more into, is the homeschooling. Our daughter's 3. And so, you know, trying to figure out all of the homeschooling is a bit of a nightmare in my opinion, but you know, there's a ton of great resources that you can find online, and you can just go to the school district website and figure out some homeschooling options on the website as well. But if that's something that you guys are interested in, is homeschooling, feel free to reach out and ask some questions. I don't have all the answers about homeschooling yet at this point. I'm still doing a lot of research on it, but I'm more than happy to share with you some of the things that I learned along the way. Right, and moving on to medical services, there's a number of hospitals in the area, but the main medical center that you will be going to is New Hanover County Regional Medical Center. It is the biggest hospital in the area and probably has the most resources in the area. However, there are a number of specialty clinics, specialty hospitals, specialty medical centers in the area that you can take advantage of. And, you know, one of the biggest things that, you know, I've sort of looked into lately is like dialysis centers. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, I was living in Richlands, North Carolina, about 40 minutes up the road from Wilmington. And my wife's grandmother and grandfather were visiting. One of the biggest things was the proximity to a dialysis center, right? And so, you know, looking into where the dialysis centers are, they are scattered all throughout the area. So, you know, wherever you're living, wherever you're coming from, you're going to be able to find what you need, as well as orthopedic specialty clinics, and really just all over the map. Healthcare in Wilmington is the largest industry. It is the largest sector. So if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, if you are, you know, part of the healthcare industry in any way, shape, or form, you know, Wilmington's a fantastic area for it, and you'll definitely be able to find an opportunity in the area. But just as far as like emergency services and things like that, you know, the main hospital is New Hanover Regional Medical Center, and that is where you're going to be going. With that said, if you're out in Hampstead, or if you're out in Surf City or Holly Ridge, right, you're going to be looking at either New Hanover Regional Medical Center, or you're going to be looking into Jacksonville, right, at Onslow Memorial Hospital. And that's going to be a bit of a drive via ambulance just because of traffic, and, you know, it is a 30 to 40 minute drive if you're out further that way. So something to consider if you live out in those areas, in Hampstead, Surf City area. It is going to take you a little bit longer to get into the city to the medical center, but, you know, that's something that you can weigh out. I live in Holly Ridge, and yeah, it's about 40 minutes or so to a major medical center. So something that we had to weigh pretty heavily, but there are specialty clinics and that kind of thing nearby. So, you know, sort of, you know, we'll take our chances on the emergency side of things, but we have pretty much everything that we need in the immediate area. And then touching on the job market a little bit, I'm not going to go into full detail because I do some other videos regarding the jobs and cost of living and that kind of thing. But regarding the job market here in Wilmington, job growth is up over 42%, which is over the national average. So we're beating the national average, and our unemployment rate is much lower than the national average. So the job market here in Wilmington is doing absolutely fantastic. And the major markets are like architecture, engineering, healthcare, like I discussed before, tourism, obviously, because Wilmington is a massive tourist destination, education, and then just a bunch of entrepreneurial ventures. So we're looking at smaller businesses. We're looking at a lot of tourism businesses and things like that, mom and pop shops, small restaurants, small souvenir shops, and things like that. And then also one of the biggest sectors in the area, because we are Hollywood of the East, is the film industry. So if you're a producer, if you're an actor or actress, if you're in any of those spaces, Wilmington is second to Hollywood in terms of this film space. So, you know, you're not going to have any issues finding jobs or anything like that in this area. And then it is also pretty high up there in the business and financial services area realm. So, you know, if you're an accountant, if you're an actuary, if you're anything like that, this area is also very good for those industries as well. But the one industry that is lacking in this area is technology. So, you know, that is one thing I was shocked by when I moved here, is just it's not as big of a tech space as you would think when you move to Wilmington. So if you're in the tech industry, it is going to be few and far between as far as jobs go. You can definitely find something. It's not like it's non-existent, but it is lower on that category. And then the cost of living in Wilmington is about 4% lower than the national average. It is slightly higher than the North Carolina average, but because we are such a big tourist destination, things are a little bit more expensive. Housing prices are over the national average, but the cost of living, or the cost of housing rather, is below the national average. So things like utilities, insurance, taxes especially, are below the national average. And so for a lot of people around the US, Wilmington is a great place to live because it is lower than the national average. A lot of people moving here are relocating from the Northeast or out west, like in California. So, you know, they're going to be saving a pretty penny when they move here. I know, you know, moving from upstate New York, in taxes alone, we're saving about 80%. So that's a pretty significant saving just on property taxes. But that is something you're going to want to weigh out when you move here, is the cost of living. That's one of the most important factors. So I do have a video specifically on the cost of living, as well as, you know, the monthly expenses that we see in the area in this video here. And then if you're interested in things to do in the Wilmington area, there's a whole slew of things that you can go and partake in. But number one probably being historic downtown, where there's a number of boutique shops, restaurants, galleries, cobblestone streets. Historic downtown's just a beautiful place, and if you're a history buff, this is definitely one of those areas that is a must-see. And then right there in the same area is the Wilmington Riverwalk, which is a couple miles of a walking path along the Cape Fear River, which is just fun for you and the family to go and explore some of the sites. There's some shopping, restaurants, things of that nature. It just makes for a great time. And then also in that same vicinity is Battleship, North Carolina. So also, if you're interested in some war history and things like that, Battleship, North Carolina is a phenomenal place to visit. And then moving on, there's a whole slew of gardens. There is art museums. There's an aquarium at Fort Fisher. There's Bellamy Mansion Museum. And then for a little bit more fun, you can do the Jungle Rapids Family Fun Park, which has like water slides, go-karts, mini golf, arcades, that kind of thing. And then last but not least is all of the beaches in the area. There's Wrightsville Beach that you can go to. There's Carolina Beach, which is awesome, like, you know, movie vibe. Like, you see all those beach towns in the movies. That is Carolina Beach. And then Curie Beach, which is a little bit more family friendly, but nonetheless, all three beaches are phenomenal. And then you can go up the road to like Topsail Island. You can go to Emerald Isle. You can go and explore some of the military museums near Camp Lejeune, MCA's New River, that area, which is not too far of a drive at all. Or you could take about a 45-minute trip or an hour trip to Myrtle Beach as well. So whatever you're looking to do in the area, you know, you're not going to be bored, right? And on a daily basis, there's just a ton of activities going on. There's festivals, events. You know, we just attended a turtle release where these turtles were sort of nursed back to good health and then released back in the ocean, and the community comes around. There must have been 1,000 people there to watch the release of these turtles. And then there's just a ton of concerts, events, and things like that too that you can participate in. The community comes together and watches some music, drinks some beer, some wine, and eat some good food. So doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the weekend, there's always something going on in the area with not too far of a drive. So you're never going to be bored if you're looking for something to do. And then just a quick point on crime. Wilmington is above the national average as far as crime goes. However, what I will say about the crime is that it is a majority of it is petty crime, right? There are still some big things like murder, assault, that kind of thing. But that is much fewer and far between than the national average. It's things like robberies, burglaries, that kind of thing that makes up the majority of the crime. Assault is a little higher in the area. My perspective on it is that, the majority of that crime happens between the hours of like 9 p.m. and 4 or 5 a.m. So what are people doing at those hours? They're at the bar, they're partying, they're drinking, they're doing drugs, that kind of thing. So, a lot of that makes up the reason for, a lot of the crime being over the national average in Wilmington. What I will say is I've been in the area at pretty much all hours of the day. Never once had an issue. I am not much of a night person, so I don't go out, during those times. So I haven't experienced any of that. But if you're out in the day, you're not going to experience much of it. The majority of the crimes do happen after hours, just like they do in the majority of the United States. So if you go to bed at a reasonable hour, if you have kids, if you're a family, and you're just not out too late, you're really not going to be experiencing that. And then as far as the locations of those crimes, right, follow the bars. If you see the bars, that's where it's going to be. But also, we have a general sense of where that crime happens. And, if you're driving somewhere, you sort of get this uneasy feeling to yourself. And that's everywhere in the United States. That's not just here in Wilmington. So, we sort of had this sense about us that we know the areas to avoid and the times to avoid them. And, we can protect ourselves that way. But particularly being, in the house before 9 p.m. is a good way to do that. And then this is the part of the video where people tend to tune out because we're talking about the climate, we're talking about weather, and everybody knows that North Carolina has great weather. The one thing that I want to mention is that the weathermen, weatherwomen are pretty much always wrong, right? They'll call for rain, they'll call for some kind of storm activity, and it always misses us, right? So that's one thing that, I've just said since I moved here is like, you can never count on the weather people to get the weather right. But with that said, the June through September is hurricane season. So you're going to want to pay attention to some hurricane protocols and make sure that you have your go bag and that kind of thing ready if a hurricane were to make landfall. We don't expect that this year. We haven't really had any kind of tropical storms or anything like that this year at all. The last couple of months have been extremely hot and humid. The last month or so has been hot and humid, looking at 90 something degrees, and we're looking at over 70-80% humidity, which makes it pretty unbearable to be outside. However, if you're moving from somewhere like Northeast, or like toward Canada, where the weather is cold all the time, and in the summer months it's 60, it is sort of a breath of fresh air to get this warm weather and to have beach days all throughout the summertime and to have so many sunny days. This area averages about 119 days per year of precipitation. So it's going to rain, snow, sleet, whatever, 120 days out of the year. What I will say about that is they are typically scattered rainstorms, thunderstorms, whatever. So they'll come and it will dissipate within an hour or 2 hours, and then it will break up and it will be sunny again. Weather in this area moves so quickly. So you'll wake up and there will be a storm, and in a couple hours it's gone. It's beautiful blue skies, sunny, hot, ready to go to the beach. And then in the wintertime, November basically to June again, is in the 70s on average. And, you know, beach days, water is still relatively warm. It's in the 60s or 70s. And so you can still go to the beach on those days, but it's a nice like t-shirt and jeans day. There's people that are still wearing shorts in December or January, February timeframe. The weather here is fantastic, right? With the exception of hurricanes every once in a while, and storms every once in a while. It's just awesome. You know, the quality of life here because of the weather is very, very high. It definitely beats where I'm from in upstate New York. And when you average about 216 days a year of sunny days, honestly, you just can't beat it. I know it beats a lot of the places in the U.S. that I've been to. So, you know, wherever you're moving from, you're probably going to love the weather here. And then the last topic I want to touch on, because I'm dedicated to keeping it real with you guys, is politics and voting. So New Hanover County generally leans Democrat, more toward liberal, right? However, North Carolina as a whole leans more conservative. So with that said, New Hanover County, Wilmington, voting results are more Democratic than conservative. But what I will say is that nobody really gives a shit about your political affiliation, agenda, any of it. Wilmington and North Carolina as a whole is a live and let live area. And so one thing that I noticed moving from New York is that nobody cares. No one wants to talk about it. Don't impose any of your BS onto the locals here, and they won't impose any of their BS onto you. So a lot of people come to North Carolina as a whole, but especially this area, just to get out of some of the political corruptness of like the Northeast, right? New York State in particular, but also to kind of mellow it out from like Florida or Texas or especially California. So if you are moving here from one of those states, you are going to see a lesser version of the political agendas here in the state. It's going to be a lot more mellow than where you're coming from, which it personally is why I like it. You know, I am very strong in my beliefs. However, I do believe that everyone should believe their own thing and it shouldn't be pushed onto other people. So with that said, I do just want to, you know, I wanted to bring that up because everyone always asks, you know, is it a more Democrat friendly or conservative friendly? And it's both, right? It's a very narrow margin. Nobody really cares. They'll go and they'll vote. They'll do their civil duties, but they're not going to impose their will on you. They're not going to impose any of their beliefs on you unless you're having an open dialogue about it. But it is a live and let live state, which is something that I am very much on board with. So with that said, you know, if you have any other questions or concerns regarding that kind of thing, politics and voting, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to have a discussion with you about it. I'm more than happy to point you in the direction of a couple resources that can show you kind of where Wilmington as a whole stands with regard to certain movements and that kind of thing, or voting practices. But that was the last thing I had in kind of this guide toward Wilmington. So if you have any questions whatsoever regarding any of what we talked about today, feel free to reach out. My number and email address are provided down below. More than happy to have a conversation with you. And if you're looking to make a move, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, we would love to earn your business and help you do so. But until the next video, guys, peace. We'll catch you later. Bye.